unmuted. Hello, everybody. I'd like to gather ourselves for our next session. John Moore is here, special artist, nature artist. John, do you want to unmute yourself and just introduce yourself a little bit to us? Give us a little bit of your background.
Okay.
Tell us about the lions.
So a little bit of an introduction to myself. I'm an artist, a teacher. I'm also a shaman, and I'll get into myself that. And I've also been doing some deep spiritual work since I can remember. Interesting with Leonie's story. My story is actually very, very similar. So
wow, that's amazing.
It's quite interesting. Yeah, it's quite interesting that she was before me. So I used to travel when I was studying in my art around the country, and when I was a child, and I happen to be a twin, when we were children, my parents would travel around the country as well. So at a very young age, we would go to Namibia or KwaZulu-Natal or the Okavango Delta, and I realized that there was such incredible diversity in our country, and also with every environment that we went to, there'd be different species that would be inhabiting that biome. So like you would have the deserts, which everyone says, oh no, there's not much going on. There's incredible life that happens in the deserts as much as in the forests. And when I was 14, I had an experience which people said I went into a coma. But when I look at it now, and when I actually looked at it when I was just after it, I actually, my physical form had to be taken out, or my personality had to be taken out of my body, so that the spirit could start communicating with me. And a mark of a shaman is somebody who's had 3 near-death experiences. And I had a very traumatic birth in the sense that I needed a blood transfusion, and that was in the 70s. Then I obviously had this near-death experience when I was transitioning from a child to adulthood. And then when I was in my 20s, I had another near-death experience. And now, obviously, I can't remember my childhood, but certainly when I was in a coma, I remember that aspect like it was yesterday. I can tell you exactly what was happening, what the experience was, and the visions that was happening. And basically what happened in that space was the aspect of spirits informed me, first of all, of their reality, and secondly, of the communication they needed to have. And they taught me how to communicate in that reality. And it's an aspect of my work that I use even today. And as I was saying, when I was traveling, when I was doing my arts, we went to all areas of the country because, funnily enough, one of the ladies that I studied with happened to be a nun. And we would go to all these mission stations and teach art to all these places around the country. And one of the key moments in my life was when I met the San in the western part of the country, and obviously felt that there was a connection there, and eventually went back multiple times to stay with the San family. And
I have to just interrupt you for a second. I've put on speaker view, so I hope you're comfortable with that. Are you okay with being...
That's fine. Sure, absolutely.
It's so interesting. It's so interesting, all these links to the San people, because when I met Linda Tucker for the first time. It was at the Ubuntu festival at Michael Tellinger's festival that he put on in Nelspruit. And I mean, I'm sure you guys all know Linda Tucker's book about the mystery of the white lions, which is a great book to read. I've actually sent it out to everybody in the group if you want to download it as a PDF. But there was a huge link between the San people and the white lions. And so many people have mentioned that.
Yeah. So I mean, that was the thing. So the incredible thing is when I was making contact with the San, I started learning their stories. And when I started learning the stories, obviously I consider myself African, but at the same time, I have European inheritance. So what I started doing is over time, I started looking at the hunter-gatherers around the world, the American Indians, the Aborigines, the San, European ancestry, and realized that there was actually quite a lot of connections between them. So one of the major connections that I had, and it's just one quick story, and then I'll discuss other aspects, but Yggdrasil is the world tree in Norse mythology. And one of the stories that the San family talked to me about was that the baobab to them was the tree of life. And for me, it was like an aha moment, because I realized that the baobab and Yggdrasil is the same thing. It's a tree that is the center of life, that holds the planet and stretches to the heavens and stretches to the underworld. And it was like, obviously, stories are a way of communicating through ancestry, through the ages. And obviously now everything is written down. But then for thousands of years, they've been telling stories. And it was so incredible for me to realize that story is the way to communicate. Obviously, being an artist, I've been trained to create visual imagery of my interpretation of my reality. So once I had this near-death experience, I also started realizing that I had alternate realities where I'm a crystal worker as well. I have crystal grids in my house, massive, massive crystals that I work with all the time. And I started getting these images of these beings that I was walking next to that were not human. And obviously it would be the Lyrans, et cetera, et cetera. And I went to study in Hawaii. And one incredible process that I did, one of my last processes, where we obviously would learn modalities and then we were to practice. And one of the final teachings that this person told us was to put kyanite on my body, or part of the process was to put kyanite, and kyanite is a conductor. And as soon as the process started, I was teleported to a crystal chamber in Sirius. And there 13 light beings were around, all in their forms. So you could see the Lyrans, the cat people, and all the different people of the Sirius star system. And it was incredible because I realized that time in this 3D reality, there's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. But in a crystal chamber, you can actually look at, it's a circle. You're in the middle, your soul is in the middle, having all these alternate realities all the time. And it was a revolution for me. And since then, I also obviously connect with my past, future, Atlantean, Syrian lives to incorporate that, embody that into my visual imagery. So one of the key aspects of my work, and this was also told to me by the San, is that they believe in three realities. They believe in a reality that stretches from the cave painting back to the spirit realm. They look at a reality from the cave painting out into the world, which is a 3D dimension, and then they talk about the veil. And the veil is the meeting of two worlds where they are able to paint their imagery, and that imagery is charged from both realities. And that was, again, an incredible aha moment, because not only do I have my work and channel animals and stories, but I also put that reality into every artwork. So those three realities exist. So if you were to take a John Moore artwork and put it in your home, that is a whole portal of information and dynamic. Just what Leonie was doing with her charged information and the symbols that she does, it's exactly the same thing that I do with my work. Is that it's not just a line, there's a whole history to the line, there's a whole understanding in my aspect, in my philosophy of what that line portrays. And even if you buy a work and you don't, you like buy the work just because, and not that you know me or you understand the philosophy, that the energy of the work still is able to exist and do whatever it needs to do in your space. And it just depends if you want to interact with the work or not, and depending on how much energy you want in your space or not. But it's there for you to be used, just like the symbols of Leonie, which I found, that's why there's so many similarities between Leonie and myself. It's amazing. So what happens when I work is I've dedicated my life to the natural world, to animals and the fauna and flora of this planet. Obviously, when I was younger, I would specifically look at the Southern African fauna and flora. But now that I can say more mature, I look at world animals. So I'm now breaking out into the orangutans, the polar bears, the tigers, etc., etc. And when people look at themselves, they can say, "Oh no, I've got a totem animal, and it's this," and then you identify with that animal. Because I had that second near-death experience where I was in a coma, the animal kingdom introduced itself to me as my totems. So if I want to connect with an animal and say it's lion, there's like a gray cloud of mist of information, and lion steps forward and communicates with me, and they literally download information into me and say, "Okay, John, this is what we need to talk about. This is the energy that it needs to have, it needs to be, and this is the imagery that I need you to look at." And that's how I actually create my imagery. So people might think, "Oh no, I'm just creating a line with wings," but there's a specific history and story in the work that is on a level that I can obviously speak to you here, or I have clients who understand my philosophy. But and obviously, I'm quite proactive on social media, discussing my work and letting people understand the stories, because, make no mistake, every animal has an aspect of themselves that they need to communicate. And that's my job, as I'm a conduit, a bridge between the animal reality and the world of humans. So the San believe there are two different realities, or two different times in their birthing process. The first is the baobab. A chameleon struck a baobab. It's a very, I can go into depth, but for the sake of time, I'll just do it briefly. Is that a chameleon struck a baobab, a cleft opened, and the sand came out of the tree. And the sand learned how to dance, sing, and clap their hands. And as they did that, so creation happened, and they would name all the animals. And on a scientific point, the sand have the oldest genome in the world. So we as humans all can trace our genealogy to the sand. The sand has got the oldest genome in the world, which is quite amazing. So when they started creating and they had this interaction with animals, that aspect of history, they could communicate with animals. All animals could talk to all sand, and all sand could communicate with all animals. And then there was a transition that happened where that communication ended, and then only the shaman would be able to communicate with animals. So now, obviously, we're going into the golden age. People are now realizing that we are able to communicate with any being, with any tree, with any crystal, with any rock, the planets, beings, etc. And that's where you're stepping back into your power, because we have been so disempowered by the darker powers that be, I can say that, where they have been trying to control and manipulate our godly power out of ourselves. Debt, money, the fiat system, bonds, banking, it's all ways of control and manipulation. And one has to step out of that. And obviously we are understanding that at this moment in time, that whole system is crumbling. And one has to step into one's power. So movies, because I'm a visualist, I like to see movies, and it's a way of me unblocking myself from this reality and creating, stepping into a whole reality that's been crazy. And yes, I understand a lot of movies are being created by the darker powers, but it's like a lot of the Marvel universe with these humans who have got superpowers. That's what you need to look at. You need to look at, you are here for a specific reason at this moment in time, and you need to start stepping into what your superpower is. What is it about you? Because you're here for a reason. So what is it that your superpower, what is it that, what aspect of you that you have that you can identify with? Like Leonie and her channeling, and her son, Kyle, who transitioned. Kyle transitioned for a very specific aspect, because he's bringing in that information through to her, and he's holding that energy in the ethers for her to hold that energy in this reality. And, you know, one needs to do some deep thinking as to what you can do. And we are so distracted by the darker powers. Oh no, I've got bonds. Oh, I don't have any money, or I haven't made sales. But you have to step out of that. And today is all about that. What better being does that than the Leonies, who they are pure truth, pure seeking knowledge, and they do it with complete love in the sun. You know, they're these glowing beings who are only there resolute in their information, and they will do whatever is necessary to reclaim the power. And it's something that we like to, in today, it's something that we should look at, is standing in that power of being completely resolute as a light being on this planet. So a lot of my images look at myth and mythology and use animals as that aspect of them, of mythology. I look at a lot of, like Lord of the Rings. Funny enough, you spoke about Gandalf, and it's incredible because Gandalf is one of my, these beings that I look at. It is this magician, this wizard who can stand and create this magic. And, you know, we as humans are divine. We have been told that we are inferior, but actually that's what the dark is trying to stop us from showing and seeing, is that we can step into being a wizard, we can step into being a shaman, we can step into being a channeler. And that's why they fear us. And that's why the earth is so important in this moment in history, because what happens here on the planet goes into the universe. So we have to get this right. And, you know, there are many people that say that the light is one. I think that there's a way to go, but that's me being human. But my work talks about the aspect of transformation and the aspect of looking at the way that the animals interact. And lions are complete strength and authority. I've done lions quite often in my work. In fact, one of my works is a massive, almost life-size white lion. And in fact, funny enough, Linda has seen the work. And it's a very, very powerful work, because it was actually a work, an interaction that I had with a white lion. Incredibly, when we were in my 20s, my parents had property in Timbavati, and we would have white lions interacting with us at night in the bush, and they were some of my most remarkable experiences. But yeah, so my work has a lot of energy in the imagery, and I am a visualist, but at the same time, I work with the animals to show their power, the authority, and environmental issues, be it extinction or not. I do extensive research on the creature, and often it happens at night or in meditative states where I do work, I complete work, and then there's more imagery that happens. And a lot of the imagery is surreal. So it's a lot of the dream imagery, bright colors. I work with pastels. There's a very green work behind me, or black and white. And obviously this line is a black and white charcoal image with pastel work, but I use all different mediums in my work. So,
wow, I just want to jump in for a moment and just say, I just want to figure out how we can both be on the screen at the same time. I don't think I'm quite technologically savvy enough to do that. But it's amazing to hear your story. You're a complete shaman, and it's absolutely incredible actually to get to know you. One of our own sacred shamans living just around the corner. And painting, drawing, doing your thing, talking to reorganizing the codes of the grid, and doing your thing. It's absolutely amazing. I mean, you've had so many near-death experiences. Let me just figure out, I wish I could figure out, I'm going to just pin you so that I don't show up when I speak. There we go, that's a bit better. It's magical. You're a magical being, and it's so amazing actually to get to know each other. That goes for everybody. Just all of us having the space to actually come together, and share the magic and the power of who we are and what we're doing. I mean, your work is absolutely remarkable. Your inner work and your outer work.
Thank you. I think the most important thing, you see, I look at myself as a new world shaman. So the aspect of an old world shaman is you would go to them, they would communicate with the spirit realm, and they would give you information. And I change it around a little bit in the sense that all I am trying to do, if you would come to me and we communicate or we do a process, all I do is I'm a conduit. And I would empower you to create the skills yourself. Everyone is a shaman. You just have to understand and unlock the potential within. So if you were to come to me, I would communicate with you so that when you leave me, you can actually have all the skills in order to do it yourself, as opposed to having to come to me all the time to do it. But that's what my work does. Is that every John Moore that you were to purchase, you could sit in front of that. And there is work that actually does that, is that you sit in front of the work and you can talk to beings or animals, and they communicate you through the artwork.
Yeah, like an interface, say.
It's like an interface. Like it's a download, it's a space for you, it's a sacred space, like an altarpiece. It's a sacred space for you to receive and take information and give information. So that's what I try and empower people,
And is this piece behind you, is that a new piece on the other side?
This one?
The other one.
This one, quite an old piece.
Okay, it's amazing, wow.
I just thought I would take it out because it's obviously lion, and it's the Day of the Lions.
Wow.
But so like when I'm talking to you now, I'm getting imagery in my Atlantean days, because obviously the 8 of the 8th was a portal and an opening, and I'm getting images of my Atlantean times walking next to 4 beings on either side that Leonia. And we are walking towards a library. But I mean, that's information. So as I'm talking, so I'm getting information at the same time. In fact, as I've been talking, I've realized that there's a specific work that's coming through that I will obviously do in the next couple of weeks, which I can share to you and you can share to the group.
Yeah, beautiful. I'd love to.
Work.
Definitely, we would love to do more work with you. And also, I specifically was interested in the winged lion for this time, just because of the links to the patriots and walking in truth and walking with such courage, and the idea of us finding our wings again, finding our sovereignty, finding what it really, really means to be in your truth is quite a courageous thing at the moment, because it means sometimes you die. I mean, that's just where things are at right now on the planet. You know, people have to be so courageous to fully be in their truth at the moment. And so when I chatted to John about it, I just thought how, I think there was an original winged lion, hey John, that you sold, and then you made this one specially for us. And
so there is this work obviously is an original, but I am also creating posters of it. And yes, it was an almost life-size lion that has gone to America. And this work is obviously a smaller version of that, specifically created for the CC group.
So we will definitely post the links if anybody's interested in buying a poster or buying the original. I'm going to just ask people to put it out, because it is part of the codes of what it is that we're busy with. So I'm definitely taking the first one. And we'll see who else comes in after that. I want to just say in a little while I'd like to do a little bit of an interactive exercise with you, with everybody else, just based on sort of using art to move from here to there, finding your wings. So whenever you're ready and you've kind of feel like you've said what you want to say, we can do something a little bit interactive.
We can start now. Let's get the ball rolling. And
should we see if anyone's got any questions for you? Because let's let people speak for a minute. Anybody want to share, comment, not just on the chat, because the chat's not so easy, but just unmute yourself and speak.
I just wanted to say I've been a follower of John's for about 15, 16 years. I've always loved your work, John.
Who's speaking?
It's Tish.
Okay, sorry. No, I'm just, please excuse me. I'm like trying to figure out this crazy IT screen. It's really not me. But anyway, there we are. Now I can see you.
Yeah, I've shared the one piece that I bought of John, and I love all of his work is either very, very beautifully and spiritual, but there's also a comical element to some of his older works, which I think I mentioned the Cardinals. He did. I mean, they were just delightful. So I just wanted to say I love your work.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, I know you have On the Edge. It's a great work. One of my oldest works. One of my first works that I put out there. So yeah, it's great. Nice to see a fan.
Yay! Anyone else want to comment? Have a question? Esther, is that your hand?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, go for it.
I think she's frozen.
No, it looks like it.
Yeah.
Anyone else, unless Esther comes back? Anyone else want to comment while we're waiting?
Maybe just suggest to Esther if she can type, because I can see what comes up when she types. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. She can get hold of me later.
Okay,
I'm
that's
happy to
fine.
answer questions at a later stage as well.
Okay, perfect. Esther, you've gone frozen. Can you just type what you want to say, and then we'll come back to you. Okay, so I mean, I must say, I just want to try and pin you as the speaker again. Let me just figure that out again. Hang on. Pin. There we go. Okay, let's just see what's in the room here. My son is 24, who has been following you, John, for nearly 26 years, from Tish. Oh, I have been following you for nearly 20. That is amazing. Wow. That is absolutely amazing. John, you're amazing. We love you.
I just wanted to say I somehow lost a decade there.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, what a gift. You mustn't hide away, eh? We want to get to know you.
I tend to. I'm an introvert, so I'm in my studio just working. I obviously I've taught. I mean, I actually started teaching when I was 18. So in my first year of university, I was teaching. But and obviously when I have my exhibitions, but I mean, you have digital shows now. The whole exhibition space is ended. But that's why I do fireside chats where I talk about my work. It's basically, I look at the concept of everyone coming together around a fire, and I actually have a fireplace. So I light the fire when we have these chats, and it's like a gathering of people, like what the ancients did, coming together, listening to the talk, in camaraderie as one. But and I do talk, but it's always from the space of my home. But yeah, it's difficult now to get out because of the whole situation. I don't buy into it. I don't believe in it. But you know, to find 100 people to discuss your work in a space, you know, you used to have walkabouts. It doesn't happen anymore. It's all digital, and that's fine. You just adapt to the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Esther, do you want to type something in there?
Can I try now?
Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes, go for it. Absolutely.
All right. So John, just what I want a little bit of a confirmation on what you were saying. It's so amazing, synchronicities. And so as kids, we used to make a fire, me and my few friends, and we would stuff pipes and smoke pipes around the fire, and we would talk in this Bushman language, and none of us knew actually where this came from. We were little children. We didn't have TV in those days even, and we've never seen Bushman, and our parents would like look at us like you're crazy, you know. And it just shows you it's memories from a previous life, clearly. Yeah. And we would play like that all the time. And then I would always, when people ask me, I would say, you know, I'm a sand person. I don't know where that even came from, but that was the way I would talk. And I love sitting around the fire to this day. And then last year or the previous year, I think Leonie will remember better than me. We had a talk with Simon Parks, and it was such a special occasion because we were a few of us, and I asked him actually about people visiting in our house, and then he did a whole session, asked me to look into the video, and he told me that I'm a Lyran and from Lyra, and I was like, phew, okay, I don't know where that all came from. But what I'm trying to say is that whole thing with the Sand people and the Lyrans, I think definitely, and what Leonie was talking about, there's such a definite link there. It's so, for sure, it's such a beautiful confirmation. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. Also love that image of you as in a parallel self walking in Atlantis with these lion beings walking alongside. That does feel like it's almost like a timeline that's bleeding into the now, because we're starting to own some of that power, or awakened self. That's what Elizabeth Hayes speaks about, that awakened self.
I think of all days, this is today the time where you can step into your power and certainly find it and not be scared of it or what the world has to say, because lions they don't think, they just are. They are pure strength, pure energy, or the Leonine people, that is. They are pure strength, pure energy, and they're resolute. They are just these winged gods. And if you could step into that, even just for today, for your body to get that DNA, that understanding of this is my truth and this is what I need to do, that's you stepping onto the path.
I know for a lot of the people that use the lion symbol with the wings, it's tied to the wings are sort of symbolic of the fifth dimension. So it's sort of spirit, it's the merging or the marriage, the alchemical marriage of the spirit with the body, and that you have flight and you have freedom.
Yeah, well, in this work, that exactly is it. It's about the lion who's transformed into a being of authority in another dimension, in that he's transformed into this obviously being with wings, because he's obviously not a three-dimensional lion, he's something else. And whether he's this fifth dimensional being in a three-dimensional world, or we're seeing him in his fifth dimensional self, that's up to the viewer to understand.
Yeah, and eight could be other dimensional. They go up.
Yes,
of
course.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know, how would you describe? And this is open to anybody. How would you describe what makes something into fifth dimensional or sixth or eighth? What is that? Yeah. Because I know James Gilliland, who's also very much a lion being. He often speaks, and he does a lot of great work on the Lion's Gate, but in general on the planet, he talks about, eighth dimensional lion beings and stuff like that. Do you have an understanding of what that is?
Not personally, but when you start getting into those higher dimensions, they cease to have gender and are more about galactic level. I mean, they're interplanetary beings who hold, they hold galactic information. And it's what I'll have to do is after the session, I'll actually meditate with those four beings to see what the information is that they're talking about. But they are highly supportive. They're highly supportive beings. In fact, they were working with the Alexandria, and obviously all that information went to the Vatican, which is obviously the dark power trying to control. And it's about time that information comes back to us, because the Vatican has controlled our spiritual evolution in trying to stop us. All religion is about, you have to do it this way through our God, and if you don't do it, you're bad. And if you don't do it our way, you're going to descend and go to hell. And that's a very dark space of manipulation and control. Whereas before that, we were our gods, and they have tried to control and manipulate us into being disempowered. And you can only do it in this way. And if you don't do it this way, you're bad. And we have to step back into, well, I'm a galactic being who is having an incarnation in this body, in this three-dimensional reality, but I'm so much more. And it's for us to do the work that we can step into our God power, because we are all gods. So what is your power?
Absolutely. And what was I going to ask you now? I've completely forgotten. I'm so sorry. Oh, are you going to be able to join in with our galactic constellations at lunchtime?
I will just check the time. I'll go off and then come back.
Okay,
I'll just
between
look
2 and 5, we're going to be doing it.
Yes,
so,
yeah, correct.
It might be really amazing to spend a bit of time in that constellation, sort of being present with some of those beings that are busy showing up, and just seeing if we can get some of those transmissions, because it does take a little bit of sort of a shift from one part of the brain to the other. Okay, so I wanted to see if there's any last comments or questions, and then we'll see if we've got time to do a little creative exercise. I don't want to rush into anything because we've got this special time with John now. So anyone else?
It's fine. Yeah. I'm happy to do your process, Amanda.
Okay, let's have a look. We've got 15 minutes. I'm just not sure. All right, well, let's just start it, and maybe we finish it another time or whatever. Let's just see someone, Diane's asking here a question. Just figure out how to look at the chat. May we please see the old lion painting? Do you have access to that at the moment?
This one, the one here.
Is that the other one, the old one that you were talking about?
Yeah,
I don't know, you said there was another one that you had done.
Oh no, I have many, but I can't get them all out because they're so large.
Okay.
But this one is got gold leaf around it. So it's the lion stepping into his power.
Oh, magnificent.
So it's got gold pigment and then gold leaf around it.
How beautiful.
So it's, made it quite dark. So that the light would obviously fall onto his face. I do have an Instagram account. It's John Moore Artist, and I'm very active. I post every day and do things all the time on it. So it's just somebody asked what my Instagram account is, and it's John Moore Artist.
Yeah, Leonie, wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, any other ways to get hold of you, or ways to be in touch with you, or you want to talk about your website? If people want to order the poster, how would they do that?
So you can order the poster. You could go onto my Instagram, or you just go onto johnmoore.co.za, and on my website, which is johnmoore.co.za, there is information about the poster. I would prefer not to give my email address out. You can contact Amanda or contact me. Amanda can give you my details, and I'll connect with you with pleasure.
Okay, but everything's on your website, and all your
everything's on my website.
The originals and the posters and the specific. I think you said there's 50 posters towards this event, and we're going to try and get all 50 sold. So if anyone wants one, and if anyone knows anyone who might be interested in supporting the Sovereignty Project and the Winged Lions, that would be really amazing if you could just help us with that. So let's just see, in this short 10 minutes time that we've got left, if you can all just get out a piece of paper, a crayon or a pen or something that you can draw on. Let's just get out something, just get you started. So that's going to be my piece of paper for now. So like that, get a piece of paper. I'm just going to get up and get myself a crayon quickly and a pen. 1 second. Okay, I'm just going to run you through just the very essence of an exercise of empowerment that I use with a lot of people to help them move towards something that they want in a very kind of creative way. So I do believe that it's really important both to use the visual side, because the brain sees and thinks in pictures, and as well as to embody. That's why I thought it would be fun. And also the lion energies are so much about creativity. So, you know, like, I think it's so important because we've been through such a traumatic time with this sort of, trauma-based mind control that they have been busy trying to implement over the whole world, that we find ways to let our creative energies move again and allow some of that step by step, some of that freeze to become unfrozen. So what you're going to do is, on your piece of paper, you're just going to create a doorway in the middle. So there's 3 sections in the page like that. Okay, so it's landscape, direction. And on the top of the left-hand side, you write now. And on the far right, leaving the doorway open, you write the words future. And what I'm going to ask you to do is do a drawing about in your now, about something about where you are at the moment. Where are you at? It can be any kind of very simple imagery. You don't have to be an artist. It can be like a circle with a sort of whatever, squiggle, can be a little, you know, child's drawing. Just become present with yourself now and see what you can do to find a way to represent something on the page about where you're at now. Okay. It's a little bit of tuning in. It's a little bit of being quiet and just saying, okay, what comes to mind? Don't think too much. And draw something. Can be literally, it could be just colors or shapes or squiggles or whatever you want. Just something that represents now. And like, say 3 words, if you want to put words. And when you're finished with that, I want you to go to the other side and ask yourself, is there something that you would like? Because the Lion's Portal is also a really important time for manifestation. Okay, so you can take this creative golden sovereign energy that's coming in with this infinity energy and make it a time to bring something into fruition for yourself. So what is it that you would like to create? Somehow symbolically put it down here on the side in a little bit of a drawing with a few words on the side. Okay, so I'm just going to take a moment to let you guys do that. I will have to just have a quick bathroom break. I will run away and then I will be back in 2 minutes. So I'll just let you guys draw quickly. Okay, how's everybody doing? Anybody? It's not going to, we're not going to be able to do a massive artwork right now. It can be filled out as the day goes on, just a beginning. How are you doing? Have you got something there, John? You're participating?
Yes.
Okay, fabulous. All right. So do you want to share with us? You can be the one I pick on.
So I'm just doing symbols. So I've charged in with energy. At this moment in time, that's representing me. And that's representing where I want to go, which is obviously stepping more into my divine being. So one of my philosophies, and it's something obviously that I is the epitome of who I want to become, is being a divine being connected to the heavens and grounded on this planet, where you're a conduit between the higher heavens and the earth, because we are earthly. So that would be the symbology, and I use it quite often. I have this divine human, which I use quite a lot in my work. It's a little shaman being, species, and yeah, that's the representation of that.
Okay.
So I have to transition from this space to that space.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I would normally do in my work is and I'm going to just go fast forward to the end of the process, is it would get someone to sort of constellate their drawing and start with where they're at physically and actually sort of stand in a place in the room that would somehow represent the now. So I guess if people want to, they can stand up and just sort of find a way or a place as if your room is symbolic of where you're at. It doesn't have to be standing, it can be sitting. Some people maybe find themselves in the strangest of places, but this is kind of just an awareness practice. We're not maybe always doing awareness processes with ourselves, but you know, if you had to embody where you're at now, you know, what would you find yourself doing? So just take a minute to either stand in a place or sit or find yourself in a space or a way of standing that would somehow represent you now. Have you got anything that kind of comes to mind for you, John, like how you would?
Well, it would be heavy, compressed, fragmented.
And how would you show that physically? Like if you couldn't speak it,
so
how would you show it?
So I would be hunched over.
Okay, so hunched over. In the corner or at the side or in the middle or
so wherever I'd be, yet a corner I would be sitting. If it was in the middle of the room, I'd be sitting hunched over it. If I was, so it would be wherever space I would be contained in a space of not depression. That would be a too strong a word, but in the world is too big. The environment is too big, and yeah, so it would be that.
Okay, great. And like a bit of overwhelm kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. That would be the word. Overwhelm. Yeah.
Overwhelm. Okay.
It's like, can we actually do this? Because the dark is so angry at dying, and it'll do anything in its power to take everything with it. So how
don't take me kind of thing.
Yes, yeah.
Don't take me.
Yeah.
Please. Yeah, no, I've hidden in a cave for a couple of years, also trying to make sure I'm not taken out.
Yeah.
And so the next part of the exercise is to move towards the future self. So to find a way and this is for everybody that is participating, find a way of standing or being in the space or changing of your body posture, whatever your inner attitude, that would somehow represent where you want to be, that end code. So where would you be, John, or how would you be standing differently?
So
what would happen? What would be going on?
I would be standing in energizing that space. So it would be stepping through the portal, because in my symbology it would be a portal.
Okay, so just take a minute to just go there into that, through that portal. Just take a moment.
Yeah.
So I know that this is a fast forward portal. It's like a racehorse portal, but the person that's there, what would you call him? I mean, who could we call him? It could be simple, anything, future self, anything you want, or
divine being.
Okay, so what I would like to ask this divine being is, how did John go from that overwhelm to you? How did he get to you? What was his steps? What was his transition? And for everybody that's participating, if you can ask your own higher self, your own divine self, the same question: how did you arrive here in this so-called future state? And just see what you get. And when you get something, just write it down. So I'm going to write down on my page what John's saying. Okay. So what does your divine being say about how you arrived here?
So first of all, it seems contrite, but it's trust the plan.
Okay.
It's all sorted. And there's nothing to worry about.
Okay. Okay, so are those your main messages for the one that's overwhelmed?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to say to him?
And also let go.
Let go. Okay.
So the vision is, again, it's a movie, but when Indiana Jones crosses that bridge and he has to use that leap of faith. So I think it's the third movie. It was the second movie. There's a bridge and you can't see the bridge, but he has to literally take a step and step onto air.
Right.
Unbeknownst that there's actually a bridge there, but it's the leap of faith. It's about take that leap and don't worry about it.
Mm. Okay, and so the very last part of the exercise would be actually going and starting within the ball, the overwhelmed ball, and actually tracking the biological codes to getting up and moving into that space, and just noticing, so everybody can do this, just noticing what has to happen as you move from the one space into the other, because this is what you have to start doing. So for you, John, if it was like your transition was like from a ball like that, it would,
right,
you know, it would be kind of like maybe you would have to open up a bit more. You know, look around, take a breath, that kind of thing. I mean, what do you see as you transition towards?
So first of all, daily practice of energizing crystal water. So physically, drink, I've got grids. I need to use the grids and charge them with crystals and drink that water. That's the first. Secondly, so as opposed to being hunched, you have to stand up straight. How do I do that? Celery juice. So again, I'm being told that celery juice is important because it's silica. So those are physical things that I can do. And then daily practice of, if one is in the state of being overwhelmed, is to stretch up open the shoulders, allow the light in, and get into that space of future now.
Mhm.
So you're going from your present to the future, bringing your future into the present.
Mhm. Beautiful. Okay, so all of those things and whatever else you want to get as you work with your own future self and getting messages, etc., including practicing with the body, moving from that towards the state of mind that you want to be occupying. All of those things are sort of indications that people can use to actually help you move towards where you want to be. And then we create a print into this morphogenic field, this memory of being that we want to be. And that actually can help sometimes to sort of put the memory back into the body, you know, especially since we've been through a lot of trauma. We've been through a lot of trauma on Earth. So that's the end of my exercise. Thank you so much for being so brave to do it.
Pleasure.
On behalf of everybody. So John, I think I'm going to say that we need to end now. It was such a blessing. You want to show your picture, Tish? Yeah, unmute if you want, or everybody can show their pictures. If anybody wants to share, we can take a minute. Just put a gallery view.
I'm not an artist like John, but here is the sun, happy, light, and awake. And my future self is overflowing, sort of symbology, something that came to me, Chinese symbology of water, which is constantly overflowing. And that is my attempt at a Chinese symbology of abundance and healer. I have felt for a very long time I gravitate to Chinese art and artifacts. I've got a lot of Chinese art and artifacts in my home. So I've had a previous life in China. So that was me. Okay. And I ride in my future self through trust and meditation and purposeful self-healing, embracing all changes with inner understanding, realization, and knowledge.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I see we have, just want to unmute our speaker for the next section is here, Essay Anon at the bottom there of our fabulous screen. So I just want to be mindful of the time while we wrap up. Ed Davies, you want to speak? Got your hand up.
All right. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, it's quite strange. I'm at the moment on one leg because I've done my Achilles tendon.
Mm-hmm.
So
you want to put your picture on? You want to you want to show your face?
Oh, I don't know how I do that.
Oh, okay. Don't worry.
Wait a minute. Screen. No. Oh, I'm sorry. No.
No problem. Just go for it. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, basically, what I'd done, if you like, was a picture of myself in terms of now, put damaged, not broken. And then funny enough, on the other side, future, I'd drawn a lion.
Wow.
And put nothing to be afraid of nothing.
Wow.
So,
and your transition to getting there, what did your lion self have to say to you?
Oh, well, it's my birthday tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday.
so I'm naturally a lion.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
But yes, I've got a lot of work to do, but I think just listening to groups like yourself, and I'm gradually learning more and more how to get there spiritually.
Okay, fantastic. Where are you from?
Mid Wales.
Ah, wonderful. Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, so you can ask that lion self, you know, and sit with the answers. Actually, maybe join the constellation later and we can do a little bit more of this.
Yeah.
Work. We continually evolve this work. That's why I'm not going to try and do everything today. You're all welcome to join in on the, oh, there's the face, the lion face.
It's all right. I told you.
That's very nice.
I'm totally useless doing things, but my
you are a total lion. Look at you.
Yeah. There's my my drawing, as it were.
Fantastic.
So
you must still fill in your transition of the voice of the lion self speaking to you about how to move towards that place.
Something like that, I think. Yeah.
Definitely. Wonderful. Thank you so much.
No, I've really enjoyed listening. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Lovely to have you. Okay, so I'm going to end now because we're going to be starting our next section in about 3 minutes. Thank you so much to everybody. And we've just loved hearing from John. John, you are a fantastic being, and it's really exciting just to be, you know, together with you for everybody, I'm sure. So we will be seeing more of you soon, and thanks everybody.
No problem.
We'll chat to you. We'll chat to you in the next room.
Yeah,
we've
cool.
got a special speaker coming up, the essay Anon, who we call Johan. I am hoping that that is okay. But I'm going to take a 2-minute break and then we'll be back starting with our next section. Okay.
Okay. Cheers. I'll see you later.
John. Thank you so much.